The rain was falling hard that evening, drenching the streets and turning them into shiny rivers of reflections from the city lights. People were hurrying under umbrellas, cars honking, and puddles forming on every corner. Most people were focused on getting home, but one small figure stood out in the storm. A boy, no more than 8 years old, was trying to hold himself under the small shelter of a broken awning outside a noodle shop. His clothes were wet and his small shoes were soaked through. In one hand he held a tin can, hoping for some coins to buy even the smallest amount of food. He shivered not just from the cold but from hunger and worry. The boy's eyes moved from person to person, watching people rush past without noticing him. He had learned early that in a busy city most people didn't have time to stop and help. He looked at the noodle shop, the steam rising from its windows, and could almost smell the warm noodles inside. His stomach ached and he held the can a little tighter, whispering softly to himself, asking for just a little food. Meanwhile, in a sleek black car that moved slowly through the traffic, a man watched from behind the window. He was a billionaire, known for building a tech empire and living a life many could only dream of. He was returning home after a charity event, dressed in a tailored suit, his umbrella in the back seat. He usually didn't notice the small details of the streets, too focused on meetings, investments, and his busy life. But something about the boy caught his eye. The boy's gaze met his, and for a moment it was as if time slowed down. The billionaire saw not just a child in need, but something deeper. Resilience, fear, hope, and a quiet strength that only a child surviving alone could have. He felt a strange tug in his chest, something that made him pause the car. He ordered the driver to stop. The rain was relentless and the wind blew hard, pushing water into the small shelter the boy had found. Without thinking twice, the billionaire stepped out, feeling the cold rain soak through his expensive coat. People turned their heads as a man in a fine suit walked straight toward a small shivering child. It wasn't common, and many wondered what he was doing. The boy looked up, startled. He had never had anyone approach him like this, someone who seemed to care without asking anything in return. The billionaire knelt down to the boy's level and smiled gently, trying to make him feel safe. He didn't offer words of pity, only simple, kind ones. "Are you okay?" he asked softly. The boy hesitated, then shook his head. His voice was barely audible over the storm. I haven't eaten since yesterday." The billionaire nodded, understanding more in that moment than he could have imagined. He took out some money and handed it to the boy, but also offered to buy him a meal. The boy's eyes widened. He had never experienced kindness like this, especially not from someone who clearly had everything. He tried to refuse, embarrassed, but the billionaire insisted. Together they walked into the noodle shop, the warmth from inside a welcome relief against the cold rain outside. As they sat at a small table, the boy ordered a simple bowl of noodles, slurping carefully, trying to make the food last as long as possible. The billionaire watched him quietly, noticing how he ate slowly, appreciating every bite. He asked the boy about his life, his family, and the little world he had been surviving in. The boy spoke softly, telling him that his mother was sick and they had no money for food or medicine. He had been trying to earn a little by asking for spare change, but most people ignored him. The billionaire listened, not interrupting, absorbing every word. He didn't feel sorry for the boy in the way people often feel pity. He felt a deep sense of connection and responsibility. He realized that despite all the wealth and power he had never truly understood what it meant to struggle for survival. The boy's courage in the face of so much difficulty made him reflect on his own life, the comforts he had taken for granted. After the meal, the billionaire made sure the boy had a warm coat and dry shoes, things that would help him through the storm. But he didn't stop there. He wanted to know more about the boy's situation, where he lived, and how he could help beyond just one meal. The boy hesitated, unsure if he could trust this stranger, but something in the man's eyes told him he was genuine. The rain outside continued to fall, but inside the small noodle shop there was a moment of quiet understanding. Two very different lives had intersected in a way that would change both of them forever. The billionaire realized that this encounter was not a coincidence. Sometimes life put people together for a reason, and this boy, standing alone in the storm, had reminded him of something he had long forgotten: compassion, human connection, and the power of a simple act of kindness. As they stepped back into the rain, the billionaire promised the boy that he would find a way to help him and his mother. The boy looked up at him, hope flickering in his eyes for the first time in days. The storm raged on, but for that moment they both felt a little warmth, a little light in the darkness. It was the beginning of something neither of them could have predicted, but both would remember for the rest of their lives. The next morning, the billionaire woke up with the boy's face still in his mind. The image of a small child, soaked and hungry, standing alone in the rain, had left a mark he could not ignore. He realized that one meal, one act of kindness in a moment was not enough. The boy needed more than just a warm bowl of noodles. He needed help, stability, and a chance to live a better life. He couldn't get the image out of his mind and decided he would do something about it. He called his assistant and asked them to find the boy and his mother. The assistant looked surprised at first, but he insisted, saying that it was important. Within hours, his team started searching, asking around the neighborhood, checking shelters, and talking to shopkeepers who might have seen the child before. It wasn't easy, but after some time they found the boy and his mother living in a small abandoned building on the edge of the city. The building had no heat, no running water, and the walls were damp. The mother was sick, weak, and struggling to care for her child. The sight hit him harder than he expected. Seeing the boy again in the place he came from made him realize how difficult life had been for them. He didn't want to overwhelm them with wealth or charity at first. He visited them quietly, bringing warm clothes, food, and medicine for the mother. He wanted to earn their trust, to show them that he wasn't just another person passing by with empty words. The boy looked at him with cautious curiosity, still remembering the kindness he had been shown the night before. Slowly, he began to trust this stranger who seemed different from everyone else. As the days passed, the billionaire continued to visit. He learned more about their life, about the hardships they faced every day, and about the small joys they still managed to find despite it all. The boy had a strong sense of responsibility for his mother, and the mother had taught him resilience and courage. The billionaire was amazed at how such a small person could carry so much strength. He realized that the boy had a wisdom far beyond his years, and the mother had an unshakable love that kept them both alive. He started to make arrangements to improve their situation. He contacted doctors to take care of the mother's illness, and he found a small, safe apartment for them to stay in. It wasn't a luxurious place, but it was clean, warm, and had a sense of security that they had never known before. The boy could now attend school, and the mother could recover without the constant worry of survival hanging over her. For the first time, the billionaire saw the relief and hope in their eyes, a sight far more powerful than anything money could buy. The boy started going to school, and at first, it was difficult. He had missed many lessons and struggled to keep up. But he was determined. Every morning, the billionaire would check on him, sometimes walking him to school and talking to him about the day ahead. He encouraged the boy to dream, to imagine a future beyond the struggle, to believe that he could achieve great things despite his past. The boy began to smile more, to laugh, to enjoy the simple moments of life that he had almost forgotten existed. The mother, too, began to recover. She was grateful beyond words, often overwhelmed by the generosity and care she was receiving. She had never expected that a stranger, someone from a completely different world, would care so deeply about her and her child. She began to trust the billionaire, seeing him not as someone trying to buy her gratitude, but as someone who genuinely wanted to help. Together, they started to feel hope again, a hope that had been missing for far too long. As the days turned into weeks, the bond between the billionaire and the small family grew stronger. He wasn't just helping them with material needs. He was becoming a part of their lives, a guide, a friend, and a mentor. He shared stories of his own life, the challenges he had faced, and the lessons he had learned. He wanted the boy to see that even someone with wealth and success could still learn, grow, and care deeply for others. The billionaire also began to understand the limitations of wealth in solving human problems. Money could provide comfort, education, and security, but it could not replace love, guidance, and understanding. The boy and his mother taught him lessons that no boardroom or charity gala ever could. They taught him humility, compassion, and the simple joy of giving without expecting anything in return. He made small changes to their daily life, ensuring that they had nutritious food, clean clothes, and books to read. The boy's curiosity grew, and he started asking questions about the world, about science, and about people. The billionaire answered patiently, sometimes showing him small experiments, sometimes reading stories aloud. The boy began to dream, Not just about surviving, but about creating, learning, and exploring. The mother, inspired by the changes in her child, regained her confidence and started helping in small ways, cooking, cleaning, and contributing to their new life. Throughout all of this, the billionaire remained humble. He refused media coverage, refusing to turn their story into a spectacle. He believed that the focus should remain on the boy and his mother, not on him. He wanted them to grow with dignity, without the pressure of public attention or expectations. Their journey was private, intimate, and deeply human. Even in the quiet moments, he learned from them. Watching the boy laugh as he played with a small toy, seeing the mother smile genuinely for the first time in years, he realized that true happiness came not from wealth or success, but from connection, care, and the simple act of being present. He felt a sense of fulfillment that he had never experienced before, a quiet joy that no amount of money could ever provide. By the end of that month, the boy and his mother were no longer the same people who had stood alone in the storm. They were thriving, supported, and full of hope. The billionaire had made a difference, but he had also been changed. He understood now that sometimes, life's most meaningful moments come from unexpected encounters, from noticing someone in need, and from taking action without hesitation. The boy, once shy and withdrawn, began to share his own thoughts and dreams. He spoke of wanting to help others one day, inspired by the kindness he had received. The mother, now healthier and more confident, encouraged him to pursue his interests and reminded him of the strength he carried within. The billionaire watched them, feeling a deep sense of satisfaction and humility, knowing that this was only the beginning of their journey together. Weeks passed, and the billionaire continued to stay quietly involved in the boy and his mother's life. He wasn't just helping them survive anymore. He wanted them to feel hope, stability, and the possibility of a better future. He arranged tutoring for the boy to help him catch up in school and organized small trips so the boy could see the world beyond his old neighborhood. They visited parks, libraries, and even a small science museum where the boy's eyes lit up with curiosity. Every new experience was an opportunity for learning and joy, things the boy had almost forgotten existed. The mother, now healthier, began contributing to the household in her own way. She helped with meals, cleaning, and keeping the apartment organized. The billionaire watched with pride as she slowly regained her confidence, realizing that recovery was not just about physical health, but about dignity and self-worth. She smiled more often, laughed at small things, and even started thinking about returning to some kind of work she could manage. It was a quiet transformation, one that didn't make headlines but was profoundly meaningful. Despite their improvements, life was still challenging. The boy sometimes struggled with schoolwork or felt self-conscious around other children. The billionaire was always there to offer encouragement, not as a teacher but as a guide and a friend. He shared stories of times he had struggled, moments when he had felt uncertain or alone. He wanted the boy to understand that everyone faced difficulties, and that courage and persistence mattered more than immediate success. These conversations built trust and deepened the bond between them. The billionaire also spent time connecting the mother with local community services, helping her find resources that could support her long-term. He arranged medical follow-ups, financial guidance, and even social programs that could help her rebuild her life steadily. He wanted the support to be practical, not just temporary. His goal was to create a foundation on which they could build a life that was secure and sustainable. Watching them begin to take control of their own lives was rewarding in a way that no business achievement ever had been. Meanwhile, the boy began to show signs of true change. His curiosity grew into determination. He spent hours reading, writing, and exploring his interests in science and art. The billionaire encouraged this curiosity, buying books and supplies and sometimes joining him in experiments or drawing exercises. He wanted the boy to see that learning could be exciting and fun, not just a requirement. Slowly, the boy's confidence blossomed, and he started sharing his ideas with others at school, surprising teachers and classmates alike. The billionaire noticed how small acts could have huge impacts. A new book, a kind word, a moment of patience, or a simple conversation could change the way someone saw themselves in the world. He realized that even in his life of wealth and influence, these small personal actions mattered more than grand gestures or headlines. He learned that true change often came quietly, in ways that didn't draw attention but deeply affected lives. During this period, He also reflected on his own past. He remembered moments when he had been lucky, had opportunities others did not, and had people help him along the way. Meeting the boy and his mother reminded him of the importance of paying that kindness forward. He wanted their story to be more than a rescue. He wanted it to be a turning point that could inspire others quietly, without the need for publicity. It was about impact, not recognition. One rainy afternoon, he brought the boy to a local market. The boy's eyes widened at the variety of foods and the friendly chatter of the vendors. They picked out ingredients together, learning to cook small meals at home. The boy was proud to make something for his mother, and the mother smiled, touched by the thoughtfulness. These ordinary experiences were turning into extraordinary lessons, teaching responsibility, care, and the simple joy of shared moments. The billionaire also made efforts to introduce them to people who could help in other ways. He found mentors, community leaders, and educators who could offer guidance, support, and inspiration. He encouraged the boy to see role models not as distant figures but as people who could guide and motivate him. Slowly, the boy began to dream bigger, imagining possibilities that were previously unimaginable. The mother, too, started imagining a life where she could be independent and strong, contributing meaningfully to society and feeling proud of herself. Throughout all of this, the billionaire remained quietly present. He did not demand gratitude or recognition. He simply wanted to see them grow and thrive. He understood that patience and consistency mattered more than immediate results. He learned the value of listening deeply, of observing carefully, and of responding in ways that truly met their needs rather than what he assumed they needed. The lessons he learned from them were profound, teaching him humility, empathy, and the real meaning of wealth. In their small apartment, evenings became a time for reflection, storytelling, and planning for the future. The boy shared what he learned in school. The mother spoke about her hopes, and the billionaire listened and guided. He sometimes offered small challenges like reading a new book, experimenting with a science kit, or writing down goals for the week. Each small step built confidence and skills, slowly turning survival into growth and fear into hope. There were moments of struggle, of course. The boy sometimes felt frustrated, and the mother worried about finances or the future. But the billionaire was there to help navigate those moments without taking over. He encouraged problem-solving, resilience, and patience. Slowly, they began to see that challenges were part of life, not obstacles to happiness. This understanding brought them closer together, creating a quiet resilience that could not be measured in money alone. As weeks turned into months, the transformation became evident, not only to the billionaire but to the community around them. The boy was no longer a shy, withdrawn child. He was confident, curious, and eager to learn. The mother was strong, healthy, and actively engaged in creating a better life. And the billionaire, once focused solely on wealth and success, had found a deeper purpose in life, one that centered on human connection, compassion, and the quiet power of making a difference. This period of growth, learning, and bonding became a turning point. The boy and his mother were not just surviving, they were beginning to thrive. The billionaire had not only helped them materially, but had become a part of their lives in a meaningful way. They had begun to trust, hope, and dream again, and in doing so, they had changed him in ways he never expected, reminding him that wealth is measured not by what you have but by what you give, and that true impact comes from care, consistency, and compassion. By now, the boy and his mother had settled into a small but comfortable routine. Their lives had changed dramatically from the days of cold nights and empty stomachs. The billionaire continued to be a quiet presence in their lives, offering guidance, encouragement, and the occasional surprise, but he never imposed or demanded anything. He had learned that true help came from empowering people, not simply giving them everything they wanted. One morning, the billionaire visited them with a new idea. He explained that he wanted to help the boy pursue his dreams, whatever they might be. The boy looked up, curious but cautious, unsure of what this meant. The billionaire told him that education was the key to freedom, that knowledge could open doors he had never imagined. He offered to enroll the boy in extra classes, provide books and materials, and even arrange visits to places where he could learn more about the world. The boy's eyes widened at the thought. For the first time, he felt that the world might be bigger than the struggle he had always known. Meanwhile, the mother was encouraged to focus on her recovery and start thinking about her own ambitions. The billionaire introduced her to local programs for adults looking to improve their skills or find work. He wanted her to feel independent and capable, not just supported. At first she was hesitant, afraid that she would fail. But the billionaire reassured her that progress came slowly and that every small step mattered. Slowly she started gaining confidence and began to dream about the future, seeing possibilities that had once seemed impossible. The boy's school life began to improve. With tutoring and encouragement, he started catching up with his classmates. The teachers noticed a new spark in him, a willingness to learn, curiosity, and a quiet determination. The billionaire sometimes joined him in his studies, explaining difficult concepts in ways the boy could understand, and showing him that learning could be exciting. Together they explored science, math, and art. The boy's imagination grew, and he started asking questions about everything he saw, eager to understand the world. At home, the atmosphere was warm and lively. The mother and son shared small victories and celebrated achievements together. They cooked meals, played games, and laughed more than they had in years. The billionaire encouraged these moments, knowing that emotional well-being was as important as physical health or education. He understood that rebuilding a life wasn't just about money or opportunity. It was about creating a sense of normalcy, security, and happiness. The billionaire also wanted them to experience the world beyond their immediate environment. He arranged visits to museums, parks, and cultural centers, showing the boy and his mother that the world was full of wonder and learning. The boy's curiosity blossomed as he observed exhibits, asked questions, and experimented with new ideas. He began dreaming about a future where he could explore, create, and contribute to the world in meaningful ways. The mother watched with pride as her child began to thrive, knowing that her own struggles had given him resilience and courage. Despite their progress, challenges still appeared. Sometimes the boy struggled with self-doubt, or the mother worried about maintaining their new life. The billionaire was always there to support them, but he encouraged them to find solutions themselves first. He taught the boy that it was okay to fail, that mistakes were part of learning, and that persistence mattered more than perfection. The mother learned to balance care for her son with her own personal growth, realizing that she could be strong, capable, and independent while still being loving and nurturing. Over time, their bond grew stronger. The billionaire became more than a benefactor. He was a mentor, a friend, and a steady presence in their lives. He did not intervene unnecessarily, but he provided guidance, resources, and encouragement when it mattered most. His quiet support allowed the boy and his mother to gain confidence, independence, and a sense of dignity. The billionaire also reflected on his own life during this period. He realized that wealth and success alone were not fulfilling. True satisfaction came from human connection, empathy, and making a meaningful impact in someone else's life. The boy and his mother had reminded him of the importance of compassion, humility, and patience. Their resilience, courage, and gratitude taught him more than any business lesson or financial success ever could. One evening, as the three of them sat together in their apartment, the boy shared his dreams for the future. He wanted to continue learning, help others, and make a difference in the world. The mother encouraged him, smiling with pride and hope. The billionaire listened quietly, his heart full, knowing that his role was to nurture and guide, not to control or dictate. He realized that true help meant giving someone the tools, confidence, and freedom to create their own path. The days continued with quiet progress. The boy excelled in school, discovered new interests, and learned the value of persistence. The mother regained her independence and confidence, engaging with her community and exploring opportunities for herself. The billionaire remained a constant, supportive presence, always encouraging, always patient, and always learning from the very people he had come to help. This phase of their journey was transformative. The boy and his mother were no longer defined by struggle. They were defined by resilience, growth, and hope. The billionaire had not only changed their lives materially, but had helped them reclaim a sense of dignity, purpose, and possibility. In turn, they had changed him, showing him the true meaning of wealth, success, and human connection. Years passed, and the boy, now a young teenager, had grown into a confident, curious, and kind individual. His mother had fully recovered her health and independence, finding work that gave her both stability and pride. The billionaire remained a quiet presence in their lives, not as someone seeking attention or gratitude, but as a mentor and friend who had helped them navigate their journey from struggle to stability. The boy excelled in school, his love for learning growing every day. He began participating in community projects, helping younger children and sharing what he had learned about resilience, kindness, and curiosity. His mother watched with pride, knowing that the struggles they had faced together had shaped him into a strong and compassionate young person. She often spoke about how far they had come and how much they had learned from each other along the way. The billionaire, meanwhile, reflected on the journey that had begun on a rainy night years ago. He realized that meeting the boy and his mother had changed him in ways he never anticipated. He had always believed his wealth and success defined him, but he now understood that true fulfillment came from connection, empathy, and the quiet power of making a meaningful difference in someone else's life. The lessons he learned from them were priceless, teaching him humility, patience, and the beauty of giving without expecting anything in return. One day, the billionaire invited the boy and his mother to a small event he had organized for underprivileged children in the city. He wanted them to see that their story was not unique in its struggles, but it was special in the courage, determination, and love that helped overcome those struggles. The boy shared his own experiences with the other children, speaking about hope, resilience, and the importance of helping one another. The mother spoke about the strength of love and perseverance, inspiring the audience with her calm and sincere words. The event was modest, but its impact was profound. The children listened with wide eyes, absorbing every word. Some of them were going through struggles similar to those the boy and his mother had faced. Seeing their courage and hearing their story gave these children hope, showing them that life could improve with perseverance, support, and compassion. The billionaire watched quietly, proud but humble, knowing that the real reward was not recognition, but the ripple effect of kindness and inspiration. As time went on, the boy began to think about the future he wanted to create. He dreamed of helping other children, just as he had been helped, and he began volunteering at local organizations, tutoring younger students, and mentoring those who were struggling. The mother supported him wholeheartedly, guiding him with wisdom and encouragement while continuing her own journey of self-discovery and growth. Together, they had become a team, bound not just by survival but by shared values and purpose. The billionaire also made changes in his life, inspired by the lessons he had learned from the boy and his mother. He established a foundation to support children in need across the city, focusing on education, health, and mentorship. The foundation operated quietly, prioritizing the impact on individual lives rather than public recognition. He often reflected on that rainy night when he first saw the boy begging for noodles, realizing that one small act of noticing and caring had led to a transformation that went far beyond what he could have imagined. Despite the growth and accomplishments, the connection between the three remained personal and heartfelt. The billionaire continued to visit them, not as a donor or authority figure, but as someone who genuinely cared. They shared meals, conversations, and moments of laughter. They celebrated small victories together and offered support during difficult days. The bond they had formed was based on trust, mutual respect, and the simple understanding that human connection is the most valuable thing in life. The boy, now more confident and capable, often reflected on the lessons he had learned from the billionaire and his mother. He understood that kindness and empathy were not just acts of charity, but powerful forces that could change lives. He also realized that success was not just about personal achievements, but about lifting others and sharing opportunities. This perspective guided him in every decision he made, shaping him into a compassionate and thoughtful young adult. The mother, having regained her strength and confidence, also became an advocate for children and families facing hardship. She worked with local organizations, sharing her story and experiences to inspire and guide others. Her journey from illness and poverty to health and independence had given her a deep understanding of human resilience, and she used that knowledge to help those in need. She often spoke about the importance of hope, patience, and community support, teaching others that even small acts of kindness can make a lasting difference. The billionaire continued to quietly influence many lives through his foundation and personal involvement. He recognized that the world was full of people who needed support and guidance, and he committed himself to creating opportunities and hope wherever possible. However, he never lost sight of the importance of personal connection. He knew that money alone could not heal, teach, or inspire. True change came from care, attention, and the willingness to walk alongside someone as they grew and learned. Years later, the boy graduated from high school with honors. The billionaire was there, quietly proud, knowing that this achievement represented far more than academic success. It was a testament to resilience, courage, and the power of support. The mother cried tears of joy, overwhelmed with pride and gratitude for the journey they had traveled together. The celebration was simple, filled with laughter, hugs, and heartfelt words. It was a moment of triumph, not just for the boy but for all three of them, a symbol of how far they had come. Looking back, the billionaire often reflected on that rainy night when he had first noticed the boy begging for noodles. That single moment had led to years of growth, learning, and transformation. One act of noticing, one choice to act with kindness, had created a ripple effect that changed lives in ways he could never have predicted. It reminded him that sometimes the smallest decisions can have the biggest impact. The boy and his mother had changed his life as much as he had changed theirs. They had taught him about resilience, humility, and the true meaning of wealth. They had reminded him that the most valuable things in life cannot be bought but are earned through love, care, and human connection. And in the quiet moments when they shared a meal, a conversation, or a laugh, they knew that their lives had been forever intertwined, bound by compassion and shared growth. Their journey was far from over, but they faced the future with hope, courage, and confidence. The boy had learned that no matter how difficult life might be, there was always a chance for change, growth, and happiness. The mother had discovered her own strength and independence, and the billionaire had found a purpose that went beyond wealth and success. Together, they had shown that kindness, empathy, and support can transform lives, one person at a time, creating a legacy that would last far beyond any storm or challenge. Years after the boy had graduated and begun making a difference in his community, the billionaire continued to quietly support him and his mother, though now their lives had grown much more independent. The boy had developed a strong sense of purpose, dedicating time to helping other children who were struggling. The mother had become an advocate for families in need, using her own experience to guide and inspire others. Their lives were no longer defined by survival. They were defined by action, growth, and the desire to make the world a little better for those who had less. One day, the billionaire suggested a new initiative to the boy, something that could reach even more children in need. He proposed creating a mentorship program in their city, connecting young people from underprivileged backgrounds with volunteers, tutors, and role models who could guide them. The boy's eyes lit up with excitement, imagining the positive change this could bring. He understood the value of mentorship firsthand and wanted others to experience the same guidance and hope he had received years ago. The boy and his mother began working alongside the billionaire to organize the program. They visited local schools, community centers, and shelters to identify children who could benefit most. They spoke with teachers, social workers, and parents, learning about the unique challenges each child faced. Together, they built a network of support that was both practical and compassionate, providing resources, education, and encouragement to those who needed it most. The mentorship program quickly began to show results. Children who had struggled in school found confidence in their abilities, thanks to the patient guidance of tutors and mentors. Young people who had felt alone or overlooked began to feel seen and valued. They learned skills, built relationships, and started to dream about their futures. The boy and his mother witnessed these transformations firsthand, and it filled them with a profound sense of fulfillment and pride. The billionaire watched quietly, often reflecting on how much had changed since the rainy night when he first met the boy. He realized that the impact of noticing someone in need, of taking action, could ripple far beyond what anyone could imagine. One simple act of kindness had led to the creation of a program that would continue to help children for years to come. It was a testament to the power of human connection and the importance of investing time, attention, and care in others. As the mentorship program grew, the boy began to take on more leadership responsibilities. He coordinated volunteers, organized events, and communicated with schools and families. He was no longer the small, shy child begging for noodles in the rain. He was confident, empathetic, and capable, using his experiences to inspire and guide others. The mother, too, played a critical role, offering emotional support, organizing workshops, and connecting with parents who needed guidance. Together, they became a team, united by shared experiences and a commitment to helping others. The billionaire encouraged them to share their story, but he insisted that it remain focused on the children they were helping, not on themselves. Their journey became a quiet inspiration, demonstrating that change is possible when people act with kindness, patience, and determination. The community began to take notice, and slowly others joined the initiative, contributing their time, resources, and skills. What began as one person noticing a child in need had grown into a movement that touched countless lives. Even as the program expanded, the billionaire made sure that personal connection remained at its core. He continued to spend time with the boy and his mother, sharing meals, stories, and moments of reflection. They discussed new ideas, celebrated successes, and learned from challenges. The focus was always on supporting growth, building confidence, and nurturing potential. The relationships they had built were not based on money or obligation, but on trust, respect, and shared purpose. The boy began to see the broader impact of his actions. Children he had helped went on to pursue their education, develop talents, and even mentor others. He realized that helping someone else could create a chain reaction, a ripple effect that extended far beyond any single action. The mother watched proudly as her son embraced his role as a mentor and leader, understanding that their struggles had shaped them into resilient, compassionate individuals capable of making a difference. Meanwhile, the billionaire reflected on the lessons he had learned from the boy and his mother. He understood that wealth alone was not enough to create lasting change. True impact came from attention, empathy, and consistent effort. He had seen firsthand how noticing someone's struggle, offering guidance, and investing in their growth could transform lives. This understanding shaped the way he approached his work, his foundation, and his relationships, bringing a deeper sense of meaning to his life. As the mentorship program matured, it became clear that its influence extended beyond individual children. Families grew stronger, communities became more connected, and a culture of support and empathy began to take root. Children who had once felt powerless began to see their own potential. Parents who had struggled with uncertainty found guidance and hope. The boy and his mother had become catalysts for change, demonstrating the power of resilience, compassion, and action. One evening, the billionaire sat with the boy and his mother in their apartment, reflecting on their journey together. He marveled at how far they had come, from that rainy night when a small act of noticing a child in need had started everything, to a thriving mentorship program that was changing countless lives. They laughed, shared stories, and celebrated the progress they had made. It was a moment of quiet fulfillment, a reminder that meaningful change often begins with simple acts of care. The boy, now a young man, spoke about his vision for the future. He wanted to expand the program to other parts of the city, to reach more children who needed guidance and support. He dreamed of a network that could provide mentorship, education, and hope to anyone who felt overlooked or alone. The mother, inspired by her son's vision, committed herself to supporting him every step of the way. Together, they embodied the principles of empathy, resilience, and leadership. The billionaire knew that their work was far from over, but he also understood that the foundation they had built was strong and sustainable. He had taught them how to help themselves and others, creating a legacy that would endure beyond his direct involvement. They had learned that true impact comes from patience, consistency, and the courage to act when someone is in need. Years later, the mentorship program had grown into a well-respected initiative, helping hundreds of children and families. The boy and his mother continued to play active roles, guiding, mentoring, and inspiring others. The billionaire, now older, watched with quiet satisfaction, knowing that a single act of noticing a child in the storm had sparked a chain of events that transformed lives. It was a reminder that compassion, empathy, and human connection have the power to change the world, one person at a time. In the end, the boy, his mother, and the billionaire had all been changed by their journey. They had learned that wealth and success are not measured by money or status, but by the positive impact one has on others. They had discovered that resilience, kindness, and support can create a ripple effect, spreading hope and opportunity far beyond what anyone could imagine, and they knew that no matter how small the initial act, noticing someone in need and taking action could change lives forever.